I can't believe it. What did you have?
I had nothing.
I'm afraid to say.
2 and a 4. That's what I had. Nothing. What did you have?
I am afraid to say I had an ace high.
Ace high.
I know, but I got it.
How could you not go in with an ace high? Oh, you cunt! What a cunt! I can't believe that you didn't go in with that.
I just thought that she had
What a hand! That's a great hand for this game.
I'm Susie Essman. Who are you?
I'm America's top teen, Jeff Garlin.
And we're here with Laura Fairchild Streicher.
Right.
Yeah, well, she doesn't go by that.
No, but
at the time, she was Laura Fairchild.
she was, and she's now Laura Streicher because she got married. This is season 2,
Hi, everybody.
episode 4, The Shrimp Incident. Now, Laura is one of the few who has been with the show since...
No.
I'm OG.
She, myself, Larry, were day one.
Yeah, I have memories of...
And Cheryl.
No, Cheryl auditioned way after we started working.
But Cheryl was in the pilot.
Yeah.
Yes, but there was a lot of development.
I remember seeing him. He would come through because we shared an office with Billy
Alan
Crystal.
Zweibel. It was
and
Alan
Alan
Zweibel,
Zweibel.
and
you and Bob would be coming in and out. And
No, Bob at that point wasn't even. That's why I say
It was
Bob
even
came
before
on
that.
later.
Bob, you mean Bob Whitey.
Bob White.
Bob Whitey.
Yeah.
No, it was Larry, myself, and Laura. We were, as we started doing everything, we were, so at the very beginning, it was just us.
So long ago.
And I was working with Zweibel.
Yeah, I remember.
So,
What do you remember about the very beginning, Laura?
I remember thinking, God, I just want to keep this job. Like,
oh, really?
I need to last
I
for
never
like
knew you were
6 months.
thinking
And here I am,
when did
blow
you
these
start
many years
working
later.
with Larry?
I started working for him in 1998.
Oh, wow.
It was right after the series finale of Seinfeld. And he was starting to develop this little show. And, I just was like hoping to be able to last, 6 months.
And what was your aspiration then?
Even then I wanted to write. I was
yeah,
writing.
you've always, as long as I've known you wanted to be a writer.
Yeah, I was
and
writing.
by the way, as having read her stuff,
Terrific
excellent
writer.
stuff.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I know.
And my connections and power have done nothing for her because I have set up meetings, what have you.
That was a long time
I
ago.
know, but nonetheless,
No.
I said,
Laura-
let me help you with that. And
Laura
of course,
started out as Larry's assistant, but is now an EP of the show. I mean,
And
that's
by
how
the way,
invaluable she's become
an
over
awesome
the years.
EP.
Great EP.
And let me just say, between her and Jen, that's the whole show.
Yeah.
Between Jeff Schaefer,
Jennifer Corey.
Yes.
Corey, and Laura, without the three of them, Larry and I are basically sitting in a box of sand looking at each other. Because I swear, they hold Jeff's energy, and everything that we go to, it's Laura or Jennifer.
But Laura is also...
and you work great together, the two of you.
I love Jen.
Laura also is there during the writing process. So while they're writing the outlines, Laura is always there giving ideas.
Yes, we don't have a conventional writer's room, but anything's open for discussion
by the way,
in
you
our...
have two people
Yeah,
in the writer's room.
it's Larry and Jeff breaking story.
Yeah.
But Laura is there in the room with them quite frequently and participating and what's the word I'm looking for?
Pitching.
Pitching.
Yeah.
Adding.
Yeah.
So
It's fun.
these are her credentials. I thought I would just...
And
We
by the
appreciate
way,
that.
I love her for many reasons. And both of you, by the way, are rocks to me. I can't function in life without the two of you. It's really true. And you've saved my life before, literally. Okay. But, Laura, one of the things I just love about her, a perfect sense of humor.
Yes, we do have some more
you know how
humor.
many people I deal with in my career, have dealt with in my career, even in someone in Laura's position with Larry, where they stare at you.
Oh, yeah, I know. It happens
Well,
to me all the time.
you know that feeling, yes. You hear Laura laughing. She's a delight.
Thank you.
Sure, I've given you quite the intro.
The feelings are mutual, and wow, it's a lot to live up to.
So the shrimp incident, we start in the kitchen with Cheryl telling him, don't eat the cookies. It's almost time for dinner. I can't tell you how many times I've said things like that to my husband. Well, you going to snack now? I just cooked and made this whole thing.
Yeah. And he's obviously notorious for doing it because we kind of touch on that this season too.
Exactly. And Cheryl, this is an interesting concept. Cheryl, she didn't cook. They're going to go out to dinner.
Yeah.
But she wants to stop and have a drink first at Casa
Well,
del Mar.
Hold on. That's an interesting concept.
It is because
That's
I
a
see
concept
men and women.
that I have been hit with.
That's what I'm saying.
Way more than I
This
would
is my
like.
point, Jeff.
Yeah.
Men and women see it differently.
Yeah.
That's why
by
it's
the way,
interesting.
yes.
Cheryl's reasoning is it's a different atmosphere. Larry doesn't get it.
I don't understand that. It's a different atmosphere. What? I
Yeah,
thought, but it's the drink, isn't it? They have the drink at the
No.
restaurant. What's the difference? What the
It's a
atmosphere
big
is?
difference.
Don't you want to eat?
I do want to eat, but I would like to sit there and have a drink and socialize and not have food
I don't see how
passing
you
by
could
us.
just
and-
sit there and have a drink and
Okay,
knowing that you're gonna be
okay.
that you want to leave to eat.
Okay.
When you're thinking about food, how can you sit and
Fine.
relax and have a drink? It just doesn't.
And then
He spoke for many men in that moment.
I understand
I think
that.
this is a battle of the sexes.
I
It's-
think so
it's a
too, because
clash.
Oh, it
to
is,
me,
really.
to me, you go, you have a drink by the ocean, you sit, and you relax,
Yeah.
and you create intimacy.
Hold
and-
on a second here. All you're creating is whether you parked, what space you get, and you have to do it twice, 2 valets, do the whole thing.
I understand your
No, it's
point.
exhausting. No, I don't care.
But I understand Cheryl's point, and I understand Cheryl's point more than I understand Larry's point. That's why I think
agree.
I knew you would
I
agree.
love that idea.
I enjoyed it because I was totally on Larry's side for sure.
And then she's like, well, we'll just get takeout. She's frustrated. And they go to get takeout from the Chinese place, Kung Pao, whatever it's called. No, that
And
was
by
the
the way,
chicken.
Just like the Paramount Theater, the early seasons especially, I remember every location. I remember a lot of times what craft service had. I'm not kidding
I
you.
know, I'm like that too.
I'll clear my face. Thank you, Susie.
How many times a day do I do that?
By the way, any woman that's close to me, how many times a day do they
Thank
do
you.
that? I'm a collector of food on my face, whether it's clean shaven or bearded. It's just up there. But what were we just saying? I get lost.
The location.
Oh,
the Chinese
I remember
theater.
the location.
The Chinese restaurant.
So that Chinese restaurant is on, I believe, Wilshire.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I believe Wilshire.
In
but
like
I
West
drive by
LA.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every store has changed in that
It's
little area.
crazy. It
Where
really
you can go
has
back
changed.
to, I forgot the name of the episode where Larry, is it Shat? Where he goes to meet with Jason Alexander and has to fix a tire. I remember exactly where the car was parked. As a matter of fact, a few weeks ago, before we did it, I drove by and I went, yes. We filmed it. It was just to the left of Jerry's Deli. And when Larry is standing there and there's a shot of the whole street, nothing has changed. Some of the names have changed, but this was a long time ago, and there's no new buildings. It's exactly the same. Because I always love, like when I watch Columbo, seeing, old LA, and they never.
I feel that way about Kojak in old New York.
Well, by the way, yeah, right. By the way, I want to offer this advice to anyone, and really, if you know who Telly Savalas is, you'll get a bigger kick out of it. But everyone, I'm telling you, go on YouTube, search Telly Savalas. It is gold. Him just singing all his songs on Top of the Pops, all these things in there. It's a reason for living. That's all I'm saying.
We all need that.
Yes.
So Larry goes to the Chinese restaurant. He gets the takeout. Coming home, he's walking in. He's happy. He's singing Rawhide. Cheryl tells him Julia called.
Yeah.
And Cheryl is complaining about her elbow. She has tennis elbow. She's in pain. And she's going to call JoJo. She wants to call JoJo, but she says, Larry always says he leaves marks.
Yeah.
He leaves marks.
By the way, whenever I see stuff like this, I always wonder, did I tell Larry to choose the name JoJo?
Oh, well, I looked it up because later on when JoJo does come, he's dressed. So JoJo, that's his
I know.
real name. The guy's real name is
It's
JoJo.
JoJo. I know.
But
Like
it's,
Griner's JoJo?
yeah, but that guy is obviously
Hold on a
based on
second here.
Griner.
I've only heard it as Griner.
No,
which
no,
is like-
sorry.
it's very
Griner
fair.
is Griner. The guy playing Griner, who we named JoJo, is actually named JoJo. I looked it up on IMDb.
Then that's why
so
we
I was
did
like,
it.
who is
we
that
almost
guy?
always do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and there's the complaint that JoJo leaves marks. And they open up the food and it's the wrong order. And Larry has to go back to the Chinese
Because
restaurant.
there's shrimp missing.
There's
and he's
shrimp
very
missing.
Shrimp are missing.
No, he doesn't discover there's shrimp missing yet because, no, it's the wrong order.
Yeah, that's
Right.
right.
It's the wrong order.
But also, Cheryl says she's freaked out about eating someone
No,
else's
that's
food.
next.
That comes later.
Yeah. Oh no. She doesn't want to eat somebody else's
Yeah.
food. Correct.
Yeah,
You're correct.
okay.
And I don't blame her. I don't want to. No, but that's after they
She
get
says
the other
that
food
after,
back.
and it's already been eaten.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, got
Hold
it.
on.
My mistake.
So Larry goes back to the Chinese restaurant. to change the order. And Alan Wasserman, who you'll recall is the HBO executive, is sitting there, and he brought his order back. Also, clearly, Larry's order and Alan Wasserman's order got exchanged. And Larry said, how's everything at HBO? There's tension between them because things did not go well. Larry goes home. He's in a bad mood. And the president of HBO was there. He got out of his special. And Cheryl says to him, why did you make up a lie about your stepfather? Cheryl's always asking the obvious questions about why did you act like such a fucking idiot, basically, is what she's always
so
saying.
Sensible.
And Larry says it was awkward. He says a lie because he says it was a lie you would be believed because it was about his stepfather.
Yeah, yeah.
Then he opens up the Kung Pao shrimp.
Where's all the shrimp? There's only 3 shrimp.
In that giant container? There's
3 shrimp.
There's usually more than that.
Usually like 10.
Well, you can have them.
Did he take the shrimp? I'll bet he took the shrimp.
Wasserman?
Yeah. He was probably hungry. He got the container. He saw it wasn't his food. And he ate shrimp and then brought it back.
Would he really do something like that, though?
Well, what do you mean, would he really? There's 3 shrimp in there.
And sees there's only 3 shrimp in there, and there's usually 10. And then he starts to, did he take the shrimp? He ate the shrimp and brought it back. And that's when Cheryl's like, look, she's grossed out if he ate out of that carton, which I totally agree with her. The whole notion, he takes the food and he returns it. Then they meet Julia, clearly at her office, which again, this has been a theme that's been going on for several episodes. So he meets Julia, and there's a back and forth about whose office it's going to be at. And we'll just do 4th. We don't need back. We'll just do 4th. And Julia says, you've turned into a nice man all of a sudden. I love that line too. Yeah. And then Larry pitches the idea that
her office, Westwood Boulevard, between Olympic and Pico. Keep going.
And
I
Larry,
remember every one of those locations.
It's like an idiot savant thing you have going on.
I am an idiot savant. Okay.
So Larry
I have no
pitches,
other skills but comedy.
Larry pitches the idea that he had previously pitched to Jason, but he dumped Jason because Jason wouldn't come to his office about how she grows to hate Evelyn. Aren't you Evelyn? And Julia loves the idea, but says it might be better suited for Jason because Jason played such an idiot on the show. And this again is a theme that was going on where Jason had talked about this. I play the schmuck. I play the idiot.
But by the way Larry pitches it is the way you should pitch. What I mean by that, he is completely succinct. He gives the overall idea and he's done. Within 2 minutes, he's done and he's open for questions. And yes, I do copy him. And the times that I haven't copied him with a group of people where it becomes a whole thing, no one's bought
Doesn't work.
They see 1 million people a day. Why don't they want a 2-minute pitch? Makes it easy. Yeah.
The elevator pitch, as they say.
Yeah, the elevator, boom.
Yeah. And Larry is disparaging towards Jason. This is all he could do. Basically said, I love that. And Julia wants to pitch it to HBO because she wants to say fucking cocksucker. Yeah. And who could blame her?
Funny
By the way, can I also say something here? She says that, and yes, at that time.
That's what I was going to point out. That was the only, there was no other streaming device. There was not Netflix or Apple.
Right,
There was only HBO.
Was there Showtime?
Maybe at that time,
Of course, there
but
was.
there was very few places where you could say fucking cocksucker.
Cinemax.
Yeah.
But here, and there was the movie channel that was.
Right.
But anyhow, here's what I want to say. Yesterday, some people did one of those charity things.
Yeah.
And the woman tells me.
Can we just explain the charity things? People buy walk-ons to curb.
There's not a shop. It's just like some
charity at an auction.
For that one, it was a charity called Wags and Walks.
Oh, okay.
Dogs.
Yeah.
And she said, and I said, of course. And this guy from Orlando paid a lot of money.
It's insane.
But a lot. I know people, they pay a lot. But we do that at least 2 or 3. We used to do it a lot.
Oh, you guys, I can't stop doing it. It's hard to say no because it's like, I just send them and it's like, I don't care what it is. I have done ones for like turtles in Malibu. Like, sure.
Well, we
if
just did
somebody
one
wants
for,
to spend
for,
money,
for a charity, one of my pet charities, which is Center for Discovery, upstate New York, and we got, I think, $60,000.
Yeah,
So, it's a lot of
people
money
have
for
had-
these
How can you
charities.
say no?
I tell people who put it up, I go, if it's not more than 25, it's not
Don't
going to
do
happen.
it. One time I auctioned for Autism Speaks two $60,000.
No,
It's a
by the
lot of
way,
money for
over
these
the course-
charities.
God bless rich people who like
Oh
the
my
show.
God.
I also feel
I
as
know.
though that's one of the perks of celebrity is that you could do things like that and raise money for things that you care about.
it's an easy
By
way
the
to
way,
get
how
back,
about this
sure.
for a gig? Jeff Tweedy, who does Wilco, an old friend of mine, he and I, in two separate, charity things, we performed together.
Oh, that's cool.
And it just happens to be that we're friends in some guy's living room with about 12 other people. It was beyond strange. It was
I've
just
done
strange.
that. It's
That's
very
cool.
awkward.
No, but teamed up with someone, a big rock star, it was absurdism. But what I want to say, the point I was going to make is, so the woman's telling me how much she likes Curb Your Enthusiasm. And she says, you know what it's like? And I was like, oh, fuck. And she said the thing that I was dreading for, it's like Seinfeld with swear words. And I'm like, yeah, that's what we are. We're Seinfeld with swear words. It just really, all the work that Larry puts in and all of us puts in, it just shoves it to the side where all we thought was, let's do something funny and add swear words. Dumb.
And there's not even that many, besides me, there's not even that many swear words. And
No. And by the way,
it's
there's episodes.
content. It's
It's
content
all
that's
content.
more
Yeah.
edgy.
And
than-
by the way, all the
and-
people who have copied Curb outside of The Office and Parks and Rec, which copied The Office in London, which copied
yeah.
Curb, not copied, but
Yeah,
was inspired
modeled
by. All the other ones that have sort of gone down that path, I'm going to do it, especially when there's a celebrity attached, it really is swearing. And although they don't have a great show like Seinfeld to base it on, it's just they think if you swear a lot. And I'm like, I watch them and I go, wow, they don't get it. They just don't get it.
So, Laura, chime in if there's
Oh,
anything
well, I
you
wasn't
any
sure if we're going
memories you
back.
have.
Oh, no, she
I had-
has.
there were a
By the
couple
way,
of things.
you know what she's great at? Listening to my shit.
Yes.
She looks me in the eye.
I'm
she
not as
nods.
good at it.
But
if there's any memories
well, I
you
wasn't
have-
sure if are we just going to go through the
Yeah,
whole
we
thing?
go
or we
through the whole
stopping, or-
episode.
But by the way,
we
let me also
digress.
say, well, I digress. She doesn't digress. But the point that I want to say to you is, just so it's fun for you, anytime you have a thought,
Okay.
please, there will be small pockets of silence. And in those, just go, hey, you know what I just thought of, or here's this?
Yeah.
Please.
Any
Okay.
memories?
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say back on the Alan Wasserman thing because, Larry had to get out of the special. He lies and says that his
stepfather was sick.
And the other day we were on set and he was telling us this really funny story about how he was on vacation and it was in college and the guys had rented some sort of house or room and he really didn't want to be there. And so he went to the, I guess
The
it was
landlady
the
or
landlady,
something.
and he told the landlady that his mom had died, and he had to leave, and it just struck me so
Well,
what
by
is
the way, I
used it.
wonder.
He's
Oh, yeah.
used
So
it
that's,
before.
no. He was young enough then to have that influence, that episode where his mom dies, and he loves the fact that it's an excuse to get out of everything.
This is
Yeah.
so fun, but wow, to go that far with it,
Yeah.
not even that she's sick.
And by the way,
she
Alan
died.
Wasserman, I met doing a movie called Little Big League. We were the opposing managers in the Little League game that sets up the whole
So
thing.
Alan Wasserman, let me just tell people, is the actor's real name.
Yeah,
He
Alan
plays
Wasserman.
Alan Wasserman. He's
is
not really
Alan
an
Wasserman.
executive at-
He's a
at HBO.
gentleman. He's a great actor. And we clicked doing Little Big League. And I knew anything that pops up on Curb, this dude's in.
He was really great for
And he
that
was
part.
perfect.
Yeah.
The very first
He
episode.
really was. Yep.
The
And
pilot.
Larry
Tall.
says he doesn't want to do the pitch to HBO because he has a problem with Alan Wasserman.
Yes.
Right.
And Julia says, but I have a friend there, Michael Halbert. What's
Hal
his-
Breich.
Hal
Breich.
Breich. And Larry says, the gay guy? And Julie says, no, he's married. As a matter of fact, he's in our poker game. Come play poker with us. You'll meet him. It'll be a good schmooze fest. Michael Hal Breich. So He goes home. Cheryl is moaning on the table with JoJo working on her, moaning. And then you see her arm is all bruised. You know that's going to come back in some shape.
By the way,
sure.
little sidebar, I saw Griner a couple times,
you?
ironically, in Larry's office.
Oh, yeah. He
And
would
that's
like come to his office.
Come to his office, and he was quite the character. And no exaggeration, I had bruises on my body.
Oh, yeah.
He goes beyond deep. He literally beats the shit out of
He goes
you.
beyond deep to bruise.
Yeah, he bruises.
Yeah, he is a very interesting
lifesaver.
character. He has saved Larry from knee surgery, but he would come to our office and he dressed just like JoJo did, like sort of like, I don't know, 70s leisure suits or whatever. But Larry would scream. He'd be screaming at the top of his lungs, like in our office, every time Griner would come and work on him. So it was definitely...
No, Griner, it was, certainly hurtful. He was emotionally, he'd yell at me. But no, I had back surgery.
But you had good results.
Surgery. Yes, but I one of the things I regret, this is a regret, not a bipolar regret, but a big regret is that it was so painful that I didn't want to see him anymore, but I would not have to have had back surgery, which I did.
Worth it.
What's that? It would have been worth it. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, at that time, he was $500 a session.
And as Larry says...
And I couldn't really afford it
As
then.
Larry says in the episode, the man's an artist.
But by the way, he really is. And he's very eccentric, and he's an artist. And by the way, the guy who played him, JoJo, magnificent
Terrific.
casting.
Yeah.
He has a protege too that studied under him, and I went to go get a massage with her when I was pregnant with Owen, and went into labor on her table while she was using that thing that he had, that thumper.
Oh my! I wonder if one thing it was cause and effect.
I think it did.
So, all right. Next we switch to Cheryl's bruise, and next we switch to Larry is in the pitch with Julia and Jeff, and Julia's manager, her British manager.
Mm-hmm. That actress, by the way, I forgot what I knew her from. Dear John.
You did know her.
I believe she was on this. I met her on the
Terrific.
set. I was on Dear John. That was actually my first job in Hollywood. No, Baywatch was. No, anyhow, nonetheless. I was a villain on Baywatch.
So
no one's curious, especially
no,
not her.
I'm not.
I know.
So she offers everybody a fisherman's friend.
I thought that was hilarious, by the way. It
A
was like
fisherman's
nobody
friend.
What's her name?
It's such
Do you
a
have it
one-off.
yet?
And Larry.
Jane something?
Larry starts
the
to...
actress. I just want to get it out there.
Okay, so Anil tells Larry starts to pitch to the group the idea. What do you think about this? Do we stop for a drink before you get to the restaurant? And Julia thinks this is a fashion kind of romantic. And her manager is lovely, you know, the Brits, you know. And was she mad? And Jeff thinks he was totally right, just like you did in real life just now. And Julia and her manager thinks, no, it was lovely.
Julia's like, Cheryl wants to get laid.
Yeah,
yes.
that was
so
beautiful.
funny.
So they go into the meeting and...
Wait, can I interject?
Yes, please.
I was in the middle. I was like huddled up somewhere. I was Larry's assistant at the time when we were shooting the scene. And it occurred... Steinberg directed this episode. For some reason,
David Steinberg.
Yes, sorry, David Steinberg. It occurred
This was
to
a house in Brentwood. Keep going.
It occurred to us that we hadn't cast an assistant to like come in and take them back to
And you also
the meeting.
had acting training, Laura.
Yeah, I was a musical theater major.
You
with
were.
a BFA from Emerson College. But
By
anyway,
the way, a great school.
it was
for
a
that.
really great school.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cassie ended up going there. It was, but they were like, "Wait, Laura, we need you to like, play this part." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So like, they just pulled me up off the floor, and I was like, you know, crouched somewhere with my laptop. And so in the scene, I'm like, "They're ready to see you now."
Oh, Lord, only you noticed
They're
that.
ready to see you now. They're ready to see you now.
Did you do that before? Before you did it? Or did you do it different
I think
every
I
take?
remember being like, I don't know what to do with this line. There's only so much you can
as
do,
you know
so
now-
much
but
range.
as you know now, all that's required is you just say it like yourself.
I was trying to be like cool and like natural, and it came off as like really trying too hard.
It's an episode
I
about
don't know
the
why I
HBO assistant.
remember
Exactly.
The first time,
It's a
the first
spin-off.
time you doing it, me laughing.
Probably
it sounded
because
like
it was
nothing
ridiculous.
like you. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff, we're moving on.
Okay.
And they go into the meeting, And Michael Halbrish is indeed quite gay. Larry was right.
Oh, you see him. And by the way, that actor who I know, and probably Sam Pancake. Yes. Yeah. Sam Pancake, a delightful man. So funny, so talented.
Yeah, he was great in the episode.
He could not have been cast better. Yeah. And he plays everything perfectly.
Yeah. And they sit down and Alan Wasserman opens up with, how's your stepfather doing? So you just know.
Just set up everything.
He had a miraculous recovery.
You just see Larry switch.
Well, I talked to Larry about that.
We just mentioned that. He had a miraculous recovery. And you just see Larry's face. And it's over. Yeah. It's just over.
Well, yeah, at that point, the bottom's dropped out.
It's dropped
out. And how
out.
long until Larry makes everything explode?
And Julia is in there pitching. She's being charming and delightful and, just like what she's supposed to be doing. And that. And Larry can't help himself.
How are the garlic noodles the other night?
What?
The garlic noodles.
I didn't touch your garlic noodles.
I didn't say you touched my garlic noodles. They were your garlic noodles.
Right.
But you did touch the shrimp.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Right, Al?
What are you talking about?
I ordered Chinese food the other night. We got our orders mixed up. And when I got my order back from him, about 7 or 8 shrimp were missing.
Oh, no.
Mysteriously disappeared. The shrimp mysteriously disappeared.
I didn't touch your shrimp.
Who gives a shit?
I don't want to talk about your shrimp.
I would understand that you don't want to talk about it, yeah.
Look, Larry, you got your food, I got my food.
Yeah, you got your full order. I got mine minus 7 shrimp.
You counted the shrimp. Your shrimp counted now.
Well, it's pretty obvious when there's 2 shrimp.
Yeah, right. Listen, Larry, I didn't touch your fucking shrimp. You want shrimp? Yeah. Take your $475 million. Go buy a fucking shrimp boat.
Larry, come on.
No, he's gonna walk out now.
Come on.
Yeah, this is what he's famous for.
So he accuses him of
But by the way, he clearly did. There's no doubt that he did. If they're used to putting 10 shrimp in, or actually 11.
It was 11 is what it turns out to be.
And there's only 3.
Yeah.
The dude took it.
And that's the beauty of this show. Oftentimes, everyone else is misbehaving, and Larry just gets, framed as the bad guy.
Yes.
As the bad guy.
By the way, always.
Always.
Yeah.
In this moment, but in the next moment, not. Because in this moment, Alan Wasserman says, well, take your $470 million and go buy a shrimp boat. And then they're in the lobby, and Larry says, he implied that I was lying about my stepfather. Well, he was lying about his stepfather.
Yeah, you go, you don't have a stepfather.
He was not right.
But they call him on that. Didn't you? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you did too. You have a funny line where you go, you don't have a stepfather.
Yeah. So in this is an instance where Larry was wrong because he was lying about his stepfather.
He is right because the implication is that he's lying on something that shouldn't be perceived as a lie.
Correct.
So there's
and Julia asked about the shrimp.
Let me just ask you something. What is the shrimp business?
He got my container by mistake from the Chinese restaurant, and he took out 8 shrimp from it that didn't belong to him, and then gave it back to me, as if I wasn't going to know that he took the shrimp.
How is this?
What does he think I'm a moron?
Larry, everybody steals shrimp, and everybody lies about it. This is Hollywood.
Everyone steals shrimp.
Everyone steals shrimp. And Julia says to him, you need psychoanalysis. And Larry says, I'm in analysis. It does nothing. Which, of course, Larry was not in analysis at the time, I don't believe. And I'm going to go back to the Chinese restaurant and ask how many shrimp they have, how many they put in the container. And what do I have here? Oh, he goes back to apologize to Alan Wasserman.
Yeah.
He goes back.
To.
Correct.
We don't see it.
No.
But he does.
But he goes back to apologize because he's got to fix it.
Yeah.
He's running out of options here. And then we're at the poker game.
And that's rare, by the way. Not in real life. He has no problem being apologetic.
But on the
show, to have him go back to somebody he knows is wrong.
It's difficult for him.
And by the way, the term always for that is hat in hand. I don't know what that means. Are you arrogant?
I think you're like taking your hat off and you're being
But if your
humble.
hat's in your hand, you're not. It's been taken off. Anyhow, sorry. Go.
Well, maybe one of our viewers can find the derivation of that.
That'd be great.
Our listeners, not our viewers, our listeners. And now we're going to get back to the episode. So we're at the poker game, and there's Mickey, who's a dentist, which Larry then says to Mickey, I went to the dentist. He said I had the gums of a 25-year-old man. Now, we know Larry is obsessed with oral hygiene.
He's always
He's really
flossing.
bragged about that because his dentist actually told him that, and it was something that really stayed with him and he was very proud of. If you ask him about it now, he'll probably
By the way, because of Larry, I went to the same dentist for years, Dr. Reams. Yeah. And Dr. Reams told me how great Larry's gums were.
Wow.
Dr. Reams told me.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he told you that yours
Yes,
were, and then I was going to say
he actually looked in my mouth and threw up. And
so then Michael brings up the shrimp incident and asks Larry, is everything all right with Alan? Did you make nice? And he tells the story and he says, we're delighted you're with HBO. And
so things turned out okay.
Can I just say something here?
What?
What's great about that scene, you're sitting there watching going, what's he going to do to make this a disaster?
Right.
Yes.
What choice is he going to make? And he makes a very English choice.
Yes.
Then they decide, Julia said why they want a HBO. You could say Fox and why they didn't go to NBC, ABC, etc. So then they're going to play Guts, something that I don't know what that is, but it's a poker game.
Cheryl is going to go to the dentist.
Cheryl's going to go to the dentist. Yes. Thank you, Laura. Important fact.
Yes.
She needs a dentist. She's going to go to Mickey the dentist. There's a big pile of money. Julia ends up winning. Turns out Julia bluffed. And Larry goes around the table to see what everybody had.
Of course he does.
See what hand everybody had. And Michael Halbrish had an ace high. And Larry is like basically telling him he was a pussy for not betting, but he calls him a cunt.
Cunt.
He calls him a cunt.
Which, by the way, very common in England.
Very common
men
in
call
England.
each other cunts all day.
He's
a cunt.
And in Australia also. My nephew just told me that. And he calls him a cunt twice. And we see everybody is shocked. Michael is traumatized. And the women are, everybody's taken aback and shocked. And the dentist, Mickey, takes issue. He calls Larry a misogynist to say things like that. And he offended the women. And Michael's wife is like, you're not allowed. It's not allowed in this game. And Michael's like, I'm fine. But you see clearly
he's questioning things.
Well, he's very delicate.
Yeah.
And everyone leaves. And Michael looks completely traumatized. And they're in the car. And Cheryl's just like, I can't believe you did that. And Larry, what's the word you use when somebody doesn't act manly? He should have gone in. He had aces high. He should have gone in. Larry always has a reason for acting the way he does. And he said, maybe in retrospect, I should have said pussy instead of cunt. Now, would that have been better? If you would have called him
I mean, cunt is so abrasive, right?
I mean,
it is quite shocking.
I really like it, but most people are probably adverse.
And, in the history of this show, with my foul mouth, I've only used it once.
Yes. That's
effectively,
right.
And we'll get to that.
It was about a woman, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
It was about
man.
No, I don't want to say because we'll get to that episode.
Oh, we're spoiling episodes that people have already seen.
Well, it's a good ending.
Oh,
yeah,
but it's a woman.
Yes,
yeah.
Oh, that was my point.
Yes,
but
it
you
was
had
to a
do
woman.
Dances and
yeah. But anyway, it's not a word that is used a lot
by the way,
in our generation.
Yours is not shocking. It's fucking hilarious when you do it.
But I only use it that. But you have to use things judiciously.
Without
and
a doubt.
I think that word is like
it's over the line.
But and by the way, pussy doesn't work there. Am I wrong?
I think actually it was appropriate for him to use it there, but the guy who was clearly questioning some things took it in a different way.
Yes,
correct.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
He took it literally.
Yeah.
And Larry's upset. No one's ever called me a misogynist before. And he and Cheryl start play fighting.
I'm really shocked.
I can't believe that guy called me a misogynist. Nobody's ever called me that before.
Well, maybe you are.
Yeah,
maybe I'm learning things about you.
Maybe I am misogynist. Maybe I like to beat my wife a little bit.
Wait, no.
But that's one of the moments where it's Larry. It's not. She's not pissed at him. She's just like, you did it again.
They're kidding around.
And they actually are having. It was a very cute moment between them.
Yeah.
I liked it.
And like he's pretending to hear. She's like, oh.
Yeah.
It's a very playful kind of, fun little, and it's somewhat foreplay-ish.
Yeah,
it's somewhat sexy.
There's some undertones.
He pretends to beat her, and you see Mickey seeing, and Mickey the dentist. You just know.
Yeah, he played that role perfectly.
He did.
He really did.
And then Larry and Jeff are at the Chinese restaurant. And you're telling Larry they don't want to work with you anymore because they think you're a misogynist. And you go into a whole thing. Larry says, I call men pricks all the time. What's the difference? You say cunt is worse. He says that's sexist. It becomes a whole value judgment about that. And you tell him that Michael Halbrish took a leave of absence because he's shell-shocked.
No, but I tell you, he's questioning things.
He's
questioning his life.
His whole life. He's questioning everything in his life. You don't say he's questioning his sexuality, but it's implied.
Oh, yeah. But also, if Larry knew that, Larry would go, it's a blessing in disguise.
Yes. He did him a favor.
Yeah, he did him a favor. That would be Larry's response to that.
So then Larry goes to the Chinese restaurant and asks how many Kung Pao shrimp they put in. 11 always.
Yeah, I love the guy.
Very strict
he
about
knew right
that.
away, too.
It's a policy. They always put 11 shrimp in.
Yeah.
Cut to Cheryl at Mickey's dental office. Her arms are severely bruised. You know what's coming. We know exactly what's coming because we saw the setup. We saw Mickey see him, and Mickey sees the bruises, and Mickey confronts her and tells her that he knows that Larry beats her, and Cheryl dances her and no.
Oh,
and then the patient-doctor confidentiality, even with the dentist, which I found very funny. And Mickey's like, I think so. And then Cheryl's like, this is a complete understanding. And Mickey says,
there's no misunderstanding that I saw him beating you in your car. I have seen Larry David in action, and that man is an animal. And he has to be stopped.
By the way, the shirt that Cheryl is wearing in that scene, I noticed like at the end of every season, like wardrobe would like give me all her clothes, and I had that shirt for like so long. Yeah,
wow,
it was all like Banana Republic stuff, and I'd be like,
"They ever want to give you my clothes, Laura?"
By the way, it's in my contract that I get my whole wardrobe after the season. And I've kept some stuff, but most of it, like there was a charity in New York where men who don't have a lot of money are going on job interviews and they need something nice to wear, and I donated it to that. Aww. So really, everybody, I'm a special individual who's thoughtful, kind, and I love porridge.
I have auctioned off some Susie Green outfits.
That's amazing.
For charity.
Do you remember which
I can
ones?
see yours. Mine, whatever. Great if you're a fan. Yours are frameable. Yours you could see like a football player's jersey. No, maybe the Smithsonian eventually, but I do too. Yeah. But you could see it on someone's wall in their den because yours are frameable. Mine's just a big guy suit. I say big guy. Back then, I was quite the fat guy. But I
did notice that, by the way. Yeah, I mean, you look.
It's hard not to notice.
Great now. I mean, you always were.
I look like the Michelin Man, pumped up, like someone pumped me up.
But with such a baby face.
Yeah, I do.
Such a sweet baby face.
Have such a baby. All of you guys. I mean, like Larry and Cheryl too. I mean, it's just so funny to see like Cheryl in her kind of like late 90s, early 2000s outfit.
Cheryl is extraordinarily beautiful, especially. She is. Yeah. But in those early episodes, you're like, how did he get her? What the fuck happened?
Right? Well, I do have to say, if I was Cheryl's dentist and I saw what had gone on,
of course,
and saw the bruise, because it's like a huge, I mean, I would have been concerned.
Just seeing the bruise is one thing. Just seeing the fake beating is one thing. But the combination of the two, he couldn't come to any other conclusion.
It would be like, poor Cheryl. She's a victim.
So then we cut to Larry and Cheryl are out to dinner, and it's all over at HBO. He thinks I'm a wife beater. We'll go to ABC. And the waiter asks about dessert, and Cheryl's like, I will take the bill because let's go to Shutters to get dessert.
I love the bookend of this.
Yeah.
It's so classic Herb.
And again, he doesn't get it. We'll go to Shutters, get dessert, get a change of scenery. Larry's disturbed. It's a little bit of an adventure, something new. That makes complete sense to me.
Okay, let's take a step back. If your partner, says he doesn't like that, doesn't understand it, do you think when you ask the second time he's going to go, you're right. Shutters would be a different scenery. We can look at the ocean. No, especially Larry. No way. So I agree with him again.
But Cheryl's annoyed at him, which is an important point.
And she wanted to get her way.
And it happens all the time. Yeah. And then we see Michael comes in, as Cheryl wants to just go home. Right. Michael comes into the restaurant with clearly a date who's a man.
He is trying things out.
Yes. That's Cheryl, the guy who played that. I forget his name. Cheryl's friend.
Oh, I was going to say that was her
Cheryl's
good friend.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, social services shows up at the door. And that is a terrific actress. Who is
Frances Collier.
Frances
who I
Collier.
knew
Was she
from
Second City?
Second City, Chicago. And as per usual, when I say someone who I get on the show, a wonderful person, so kind and very talented.
And very talented.
And she played it perfect.
And she
did.
Yeah, well, she was very serious, and you have to be. And she asked Cheryl if she would like to press charges.
We received a phone call that there was some domestic violence going on in this household.
Oh, actually, this is all a big misunderstanding. Oh, yeah, this...
Would you care to press charges?
Cheryl pauses for a moment and hesitates, and we see Larry pulling up in his car, singing and jolly, and off Cheryl's look, fade out.
The song.
By the way, what was Larry wearing in that last shot?
I know.
He's wearing like all denim and like...
But you'll know in these early episodes...
Here's how weird it was. It really, I said, that's weird, and I couldn't even remember what he's wearing.
But in these early episodes...
It looks like he was working on a car,
right?
And he came out from underneath the car.
Yes, and
like
drove. A greaser or something.
Greaser,
in the early episodes, his wardrobe is so severely different than it has become. Now he's got the Larry David look. It's a very specific look.
And he's a fashion icon.
He is, but as am I. But he was not in those early episodes.
You're the three. Diane Keaton, you and Larry.
Not me, Susie Green.
Yeah, Susie Green.
And that was the episode, and I think it's a terrific one.
It was a great one.
And
I'm just so proud to have been the assistant to really...
But Laura,
I think my part really made the whole show.
But you're not here because you were the assistant. You're here because of your involvement of the show.
I loved it.
It's now transitioned into, I can't survive without you and Susie, and you and Jen hold the show up. Well, back then you were revered because you held Larry up.
Yeah.
He couldn't function without you.
He still can't.
He still can't.
I always say that Laura is the best female relationship Larry's ever had.
He and I have been together.
Because Ashley will be listening.
Well, we are a great work marriage.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't mean anything disparaging against his wife.
What I love about him that I cannot do, I would adopt you for my daughter, as the way I would deal with you. And he's very professional.
In fact, I think it's the opposite. I think of him as like my stepchild.
By the way, yeah. So it works. And by the way, here I'm saying I want you for my daughter. I'm really the boy in that relationship.
I think I might be your mother as well, for sure.
But
I love it.
And thank you, Laura, for coming. And you'll come back, of course, because you're involved in all 120 episodes.
I love it.
No,
anytime.
Really, though. Yeah. So there was 3 of us at the very beginning when the show became a show.
Actually, 4, because there's Steve Rash, our editor.
No, we brought him on, though. That's what I'm saying. Before everyone was hired, as the show was initially being developed, it's you, me, and Larry. That's what I mean when I say the very beginning.
Yeah.
Because certainly Cheryl and Susie's been on since
season 1.
Since season 1. So I'm saying there's a lot of people. Is Thomas season 1 too?
Yes.
So
Thomas, our makeup artist.
Who we're going to have on, who's fascinating.
He's the best.
He's the best. But I'm saying there's only a handful of us from the very early days, for sure.
I have the funniest memory. We were editing the pilot at HBO, which at the time was in Century City.
But by the way, it wasn't even like our offices were above the offices, like a secret area, and there were no windows.
No it was
windows.
Like airless, windowless. Yeah. But I had gone out to get lunch for everybody, and I ran into Cheryl at the Century City Mall, and she was walking into Bloomingdale's, and I was like, Cheryl. She's like, she was working for Michelle Reiner at the time as her assistant. She was like, I'm just returning some things from Michelle, and I'm like, we've been like watching you all day. Like, you're so great in this pilot. And she was like, really?
But because, by the way, in all sincerity, we all thought it was a one-off.
Oh, nobody.
And I remember this was a key moment.
It wasn't even a pilot. It was a special.
But we also shot it in the first season of Curb, everything in order. We didn't come back.
Oh, yeah.
We had to come back to locations because Larry wanted that for the way he thought of it. And I remember filming that first scene with Judy Tull and Alan Wasserman in the HBO offices. We came out of there. And we were in a break, and he sits on one of the desks, empty desks, and he looks at me and he says, "Wouldn't this be great as a TV series?" And my inner monologue said, Larry David suggesting that we do this and I go, yeah, it would be, excited, but knowing full well it would never be.
23 years later.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun. The journey we've had, because of the way it went about, we never have believed the hype. Ever. None of us have ever gotten big in our britches because of, and by the way, my attitude is when I go on a talk show, it's basically, they might as well look at the camera and go, we couldn't get Larry David, so ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Jeff Garlin? And it's not me being, that is, by the way, the truth, but not the truth. Like they have faith in me, but if they get Larry instead of me, they're pretty fucking happy.
Bumped.
Yeah. By the way, happy to be bumped by Larry, you know.
And we will hear you, speak to you all next time.
Soon, yes.
Signing off.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
Enjoy to be
Love
with
you guys.
Love you too.